Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have 12 Post swearing off against Blue Red Delver. Elvish Reclaimer is answered by a Lightning Bolt. If it wasn't answered, it would potentially be able to convert all of this mana base into very dangerous lands. Have a Glimmer Post gaining some life. Glimmer Post, part of a overall strategy for 12 Post of slowing the game down, getting a ton of mana, and resolving ridiculous over-the-top spells. Cloud Post is the payoff there, so Glimmer Post gains you life, and Cloud Post taps for 1 for each locus. Glimmer Post and Cloud Post counting as locus. And of course, Thespian Stage can copy a locus as well, though you don't get the ETB off of Glimmer Post as compared to Vesuva, another land that can be used. Expedition Map, sacrificed, and this is incredibly good in the deck. Able to get any land that you want, only functioning off of colorless mana, not requiring green. You can have some really fast draws that involve Expedition Map. And Dark Depths arriving. Now, on the other side of the board, there's a whole lot of pressure. We got Delver of Secrets, Ragavan, and Dragon Rage Channeler all teaming up. Of course, when Delver flips, it's a 3/2 flyer, incredibly efficient. It has been joined by other 1-drops in Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Channeler, and 12 Post is facing down some serious pressure. Steve's going to need to find a way to not just get KO'd over the next couple of turns from this squad of 1 casting cost creatures. He does have the Dark Depths online, but Wasteland is going to create a 2-for-1. Oh man, that is devastating. So, I mean, it may have required that choice, but basically the way that Dark Depths combo works with Thespian Stage is you're going to copy the Dark Depths, then the Legend rule is going to apply. You're going to sacrifice the original Dark Depths, and you'll be left with a Thespian Stage with no counters on it that is now a Dark Depths. Now there's a state trigger on the stack, and you can sacrifice the Dark Depths, the now Dark Depths, the Thespian Stage, to get your 20/20. However, your opponent can respond to that with the Wasteland. So you actually get 2-for-1 if you attempt to use Thespian Stage on Dark Depths against a Wasteland when your opponent fully understands the rules. Certainly, you'll see people throw out a Wasteland targeting the Dark Depths in response to the activation, which is not precisely the correct way to play it. You end up giving up a lot of value if you just jump the gun and do that in response to the stage activation. You really don't gain anything from that. So that is just something to keep in mind. If you play against 12 Post, you're going to let that Legend rule resolve and then blow up the Thespian Stage that has become a Dark Depth. State triggers do not trigger again as long as there's a copy of the trigger on the stack. You don't want to try and use something like Stifle, because Stifle will simply counter the state trigger, and then there'll be another one placed on the stack as the condition for Dark Depths is still true. It still has no counters on it, so it just doesn't repeatedly trigger. It's pretty arbitrary. It's how they've decided to make the rules work. Just as long as there's a copy of that trigger on the stack, it doesn't trigger again. They could certainly change it if they ever want to in the future, and that would shake things up, but I don't anticipate that happening. Kind of similar to how state-based effects check. For example, a creature having taken lethal damage, every time that things check, the effect will apply. When it's a trigger, it just doesn't go back on the stack. So a little nerdy there for you, really delving into the nuance of the rules, but it is an important thing to understand. I've seen several tournament runs end with a misunderstanding of those rules. Carpet of Flowers here for 12 Post. Going to look to get a bit more of a mana advantage. We'll see what they can do with it. And a pair of Pithing Needles. Definitely need to be concerned about Wasteland, but that is probably not the strongest situation. I mean, you're hoping that your opponent has a Wasteland and will waste a counter spell on one of those Pithing Needles. That's a little bit of the hope. However, 12 Post, not a lot of cards left to work with. And Delver is totally capable of running off of just one island, maybe even less. They can daze and return that to their hand. Maze of Ith shows up, and that will slow down one of these threats. Not obvious which one is better to stop. I mean, Ragavan gets mazed, preventing the treasure from showing up. So Steve willing to take some extra damage to prevent the extra treasures and potential card advantage. Of course, finding a Pithing Needle off the top would be very disconcerting with Ragavan. Being able to Pithing Needle Thespian stage would be one of his greatest heists, I'd imagine. Glimmerpost gains a point of life. Aggressive Iteration. Still just one land for Tim that interacts with Carpet of Flowers, just that Soul Volcanic Island. Dragon's Rage Channeler is not going to be castable as Ragavan gets hit with Maze. Bajuka Bog for 12 posts gets rid of the graveyard, but this is really a tough line. We've got Veil of Summer in response to an Expressive Iteration just to draw a card. That's how desperate the situation is. I think Steve can see the writing on the wall. Delver just getting an absolute steamrolling draw. All of the damage coming in. I guess it's only 4 because of the Bajuka Bog. There's that. A little surprised Tim willing to commit that other island to the board. Now another. So 3 islands. He was really playing around that Carpet of Flowers. Perhaps feeling like things were getting a little bit too dangerous over there with so many land drops. There are some crazy things that 12 posts can drop. Most of them creatures, so they can't be hit with Force of Negation. It's pretty much just Force of Will at that point, as very often they'll have plenty of extra mana as well. We have a Crop Rotation. Eats a Force of Will. Veil of Summer. Force of Negation stops that. And that's actually going to do it. Steve completely out of gas as 12 post gets steamrolled here by Blue-Red Delver. I am actually not sure what the matchup looks like, but I'm fairly certain that type of defensive draw is not going to line up well versus such a threat-heavy hand. Double Pithing Needle and Carpet, just not enough business for 12 posts to really put any fear in the hearts of the Blue-Red Delver player.